The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita wants to explain direct meetings with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meetings with those empowered by him and his Avirbhav appearance. Thus he described the glories of Nrsimhananda and other devotees. A devotee named Bhagavan Acharya was exceptionally faithful to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nevertheless, his brother Gopal Bhatta Acharya discoursed upon the commentary of impersonalism, Mayavad. Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami, the secretary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, forbade Bhagavan Acharya to indulge in hearing that commentary. Later, when Junior Haridas, following the order of Bhagavan Acharya, went to collect alms from Madhavi Devi, he committed an offence by talking intimately with a woman, although he was in the renounced order. Because of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Junior Haridas, and despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees, the Lord did not accept him again. 1 year after this incident, Junior Haridas went to the confluence of the Ganges and Jamuna and committed suicide. In his spiritual body, however, he continued to sing devotional songs, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard them. When the Vaishnavas of Bengal went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these incidents became known to Swarup Damodar and others. Mandeham Siguro Sijuta Padakamalam Sigurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagan Narakunatan Vitang Tang Sajivam Sadvaitang Savadhutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakan Vitangscha. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of my spiritual master and all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all his devotees headed by Srivas Thakur. I then offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and all the gopis headed by Lalita and Vishakha. Joy Joy Sri Chaitanya, Joy Nityananda, Joy Dvaita Chandra, Joy Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Advaita Acharya. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvalok Udharite Gaura Avatar Nishtarene Hituta Trivida Prakar. In his incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the 3 worlds, from Brahmalok down to Patalalok. He caused their deliverance in 3 ways. Shakadadarshan ar yoga bhakta jive abhisha karaye kahan avirbhave. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering a pure devotee, and in still other places by appearing before someone himself. Shakad darshani pray savanishtarila nakul brahmacharir dehi avishta haila pratyumna nrsimhananda age khoila avirbhav loka nishtari bhae ishvara swabhav. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by entering the body of Nakul Brahmachari and by appearing before Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. That's the 3 ways he's just described, right? By meeting directly with them, and then other times he would empower a devotee, such as when he entered the body of Nakul Brahmachari, and thirdly he would appear personally before someone, as he did with Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So every incarnation has some specific function. Of course, in general, like in Bhagavad Gita, yada yada idamasya glanir bhavati, to protect the devotees and destroy the demons, that's general. But every particular incarnation has a more specific function, and the specific function of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to
distribute prema.
Yes,
That's the
deliver the fallen souls and give them prema, of course. So that's...
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you just give us the references? Where are we?
Just Antilila chapter 2. Purport: the Lord always manifested his avirbhav, appearance. That means he's directly appearing himself in the following 4 places. The house of Srimati Sachimata, of course, wherever Nityananda Prabhu danced in ecstasy. 2, 3, the house of Srivas, when Kirtan was performed. And 4, the house of Raghava Pandit. Lord Chaitanya himself appeared in these 4 places. Sakshabdarshane Shaba Jagat Tarila Ekbar Je Dhikila Sekrit Hathaila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him even once was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Gauda Desher Bhaktagan Pratyabda Ashya Puna Gauda Deshe Joy Prabhu Re Melia. Every year, devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet the Lord, and after the meeting they would return to Bengal. Aurannana Desher Log Asi Jagannath Chaitanya Charan Dheki Hoila Kritat. Similarly, people who went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces of India were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shaptadvip Peralok or Navakhandavashi Devak Gandharva Kinnar Manjush Veshe Ashi. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands, the 9 khandas, the planets of the demigods, Gandharvalok and Kinnaralok, would go there in the form of human beings, in the forms of human beings. So they'd come to have the darshan of Mahaprabhu, right? These various types of beings in different planets and different islands. Because the universe is supposed to be like with Mount Meru in the middle, like the trunk. It's like a tree with its roots upwards and it branches down, and it's revolving like this. Actually, it's not like all standing still, planets spinning around like that. Text 11. Prabhure dekhiye joy Vaishnava hana Krishna boli nachi saba prema vishtahana. Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas. Thus they danced and chanted the Hare Krishna mantra in ecstatic love of Godhead. Thus by direct meetings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, could not go and were entangled in material activities. So the loving network of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu extended everywhere to everyone, and like a golden volcano overflowing with lava of prema was flooding everywhere. Still, some people missed that. Of course, some devotees prayed. It's in Prabhupada some verses quoted, where the devotee says, the whole universe was inundated by your love, but I was so unfortunate I couldn't get a drop of it. But he's feeling that, the devotee's feeling that. But actually some people couldn't, missed out. Another place it's told everybody benefited from that, but only 2 classes could not, students and Mayavadis. Students, because they're generally quite puffed up, you know. They won't listen to anyone. And Mayavadis, of course, because they're offenders to the Lord. To deliver people in regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. These are all expansions of the Lord. They're called Vaibhav expansions. And through them, the Lord does the work. You know, it's like delegating. If a manager in a big company doesn't do everything himself personally, going to each and every department, he'll delegate to different people, different leaders. Thus he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees by seeing them. Just like Srila Prabhupada, right? Came to the Western countries. When they see him, become devotees. Just imagine. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire three worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. In Ambuya Muluk, there was a person named Nakul Brahmachari, who was a perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Purport Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Ambuya Muluk is the present Ambika, a city in the Vardhaman district of West Bengal. Formerly, during the Mohammedan regime, it was known as Ambuya Muluk. In this city there is a neighbourhood called Pyariganja, and that is where Nakul Brahmachari used to live. Desiring to deliver all the people of Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakul Brahmachari. Nakul Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. He continuously exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced in love of Godhead, and made sounds like those of a cloud. I guess that's a kind of rumbling noises. Yeah. His body shone with the same lustre as that of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he showed the same absorption in ecstatic love of Godhead. People came from all provinces of Bengal to see these symptoms. It's like people like to come and see people doing, exhibiting siddhis, doing tricks, like maybe it's magic or maybe it's actual, manifesting things and all that, like Sai Baba, right? Etc. But here they came to see the ecstatic symptoms of Nakul Brahmachari. It must have been also something extraordinary to see ordinary, a human being to show such symptoms. But they say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he exhibited the Ashta Sattvik above, all 8 symptoms of transcendental ecstasy simultaneously in his body, which had never been seen before. Usually there's 1 or 2 or maximum 3 at a time, like perspiring, tears, hair standing on end, fainting, becoming stunned, and like that. So his feelings of separation from Krishna were so intense that they all manifested simultaneously. Like Kaviraj Goswami, in one verse he says, his dancing and chanting was like mad, insane performances. That's why materialists said, that sannyasi from Bengal had epilepsy. He was half mad and had epilepsy. So he'd be like falling on the ground and foaming at the mouth, things like that. He advised, this Nakula Brahmachari, whoever he met to chant the holy names of Hare Krishna. Thus, upon seeing him, people were overwhelmed with the love of Godhead. When Shivananda Sen heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had entered the body of Nakul Brahmachari, he went there with doubts in his mind. So it must have been something very distinct. When you say, the Lord has entered the body of such and such a person, you couldn't make it up, It'd be very clear to anyone who's seeing. But Shivananda is saying he went there with doubts in his mind.
What was Shivananda saying?
Shivananda is saying he used to arrange for the devotees travelling to Puri from Bengal. Yeah, and he was obviously a householder of some means, that he could organise all these things, paying off the taxes at the toll booths and arranging accommodation, food, and all that. So, of course, his doubt here is not like ordinary doubt, like material conditioned soul would have doubt, in the existence of God or something like that. It's part of the pastime, the Leela. So he went there supposedly to test the authenticity of Nakul Brahmachari. He stayed, Shivananda saying, stayed outside the room, thinking as follows: Apani bolana more, iha jodi jani, amar ishta vanta jani kohina apani, thabe jani inhotte hoy chaitanya avesh, et chinti Shivanand rohila durabdesh. If Nakul Brahmachari personally calls me and knows my worshipable mantra, then I shall understand that he is inspired by the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thinking in this way, he stayed some distance apart. So this is a special thing, because normally we say, like in the Bible, it says, thou shalt not test the Lord thy God. Right? But here he's saying, I'll wait outside, and if he calls me and he tells me my mantra, my personal mantra, then I'll know that it's genuine. So who knows what's going on. But there was a large crowd of people, some coming and some going. Indeed, some people in that great crowd could not even see Nakul Brahmachari. Aveshe Brahmachari kahe, Shivanand dache dure, Jannadui chari joho bolaha tahare. In his inspired state, Nakul Brahmachari said, Shivananda Sen is staying some distance away. 2 or 4 of you go and call him. Thus people began running here and there, calling in all directions, Shivanand, whoever is Shivanand, please come. Nakul Brahmachari is calling you. Hearing these calls, Shivananda Sen quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakul Brahmachari, and sat down near him. Normally, a senior man like Shivananda Sen wouldn't be offering obeisances to Brahmachari. I mean, by social way. But this is different, because the question of seniority is by adhikar, by realization. Adhikar doesn't just mean realization, level of realization. It means qualification for devotion to Krishna. So, though devotion is the natural core of every living entity, but there's qualification for devotion. Just like we say, Trinada Pisani Chana, the 3 qualifications one has to have in order to chant the holy name, to really be chanting the holy name. Right? Humility, tolerance, offering respect, not expecting respect. These are qualifications for chanting, though there are no hard and fast rules in terms of the chanting itself, time, place, circumstances. But there are some rules as per for the qualification for chanting. Those things, 10 offences, we know. So like that. So Shivananda Sen quickly went there, offered obeisances to Nakul Brahmachari, and sat down near him. Brahmachari bale, Tumi kalila samsay ekamana hana shun tahara nishchay. I know that you are doubtful. Now please hear this evidence with great attention. Gaur Gopal mantra tomar chari okar, avishvas chadu ye kori jach antar. You are chanting the Gaur Gopala mantra, composed of 4 syllables. Now please give up the doubts that have resided within you. Purport. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the Gaur Gopal mantra in his Amrit Pravaha Bhashya That's just his commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Worshippers of Sri Gaura Sundar accept the 4 syllables Go, Ra, Ang, Ga as the Gaura mantra. But pure worshippers of Radha and Krishna accept the 4 syllables Rad, Ha, Ra, Tha, Krishna as the Gaura Gopal mantra. However, Vaishnavas consider Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu non-different from Radha Krishna. Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahi Anya. Therefore, one who chants the mantra Gauranga and one who chants the names of Radha and Krishna are on the same level. Shivananda Sain thereupon developed full confidence in his mind that Nakul Brahmachari was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shivananda Sain then offered him respect and devotional service. So the different expansions of the Lord, they are empowered with different percentages, like of the Lord's potency. So, the what's called plenary expansion, that's the full expansion, like direct, be something like Baladev, right? But then you have partial, like Shaktivesh, they're also considered expansions of the Lord. They're empowered Jiva souls. So they may be empowered with one of the 6 opulences of the Lord, which are
Beauty, fame, beauty,
knowledge, renunciation,
yeah,
strength.
yeah, and one more.
Beauty, austerity, no.
You said wealth.
Beauty, renunciation, you said?
Yeah, renunciation.
Knowledge.
Strength. Yeah, so for example, like a particular Jiva soul could be empowered with one of those opulences, like, say, renunciation, Buddha, is Shaktivesh avatar, potency of renunciation, and etc. So there's so many categories of incarnations, as told in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in great detail by Rupa Goswami, all the different incarnations. But it just says here that he was filled with the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Maybe in a kind of a total way. In this way, one should understand the inconceivable potencies of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now please hear how his appearance, avirbhav, takes place. So he just described when he empowers a soul, and now he's going to describe when he appears before someone. And as mentioned in the introduction, the Lord always appeared in 4 places: the house of Mother Sachi, in the places where Nityananda Prabhu danced, obviously in the house of Srivas Pandit, in the Kirtans, the Panchatattva, and in the house of Raghava Pandit. He appeared because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. So this is actually the kind of relationship, right, between the Lord and the soul. So normally we say, like, the deity has come, manifested, by his transcendental will, just to give opportunity for conditioned souls to see him and worship him. But actually the deity comes on the invitation of a pure devotee. That's why when they install the deity, the devotee has to put the tulsi manjaris on the feet of the deity, and then only then the presence of the Lord fully enters the deity. That's why in that story when Sridhar Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, right, was due to do the installation, and what happened? He was late or something?
No, Guru Maharaj thought it's very difficult for him to reach, so I'll put that on for him.
Right, but then after that, he felt regretful that he'd overstepped, right, his thing, and he was holding that feeling, regretful feeling, but not saying anything. But then Bhaktisiddhanta spontaneously, right, said, "There's no fault. There's no."
You know that does? No. The deed, Maharaj. They don't know it at all. There was some
But you
deeds
tell
were
it.
to be installed, and when Guru Maharaj was with Srila Bhakti Thakur, and Guru Maharaj thought, it's very difficult for him to reach, so I put the Tulasi, not realising that was actually installing the deities, and then Srila Bhakti Thakur said, they're already installed, you've done it already.
Yeah.
And then Guru Maharaj felt like he'd overstepped his position to do that, and then Saraswati Thakur said...
But he said for a pure soul, there can be no fault, meaning himself, So the Lord appears because of his attraction to the love of his devotees. That is his natural characteristic. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared before Nrsingananda Brahmachari and ate his offerings. Please hear about this with attention. Shivananda Sain had a nephew named Srikanta Sain, who by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was extremely fortunate. One year, Srikanta Sain came alone to Jagannath Puri in great eagerness to see the Lord. Seeing Srikanta Sain, the Lord bestowed causeless mercy upon him. Srikanta Sain stayed near the Lord for about 2 months at Jagannath Puri. When he was about to return to Bengal, the Lord told him, "Forbid the devotees of Bengal to come to Jagannath Puri this year. E batsar thana ami joimu apane tahai milimu shaba advaitadi shani." This year I shall personally go to Bengal and meet all the devotees there, headed by Advaita Acharya. Please inform Shivananda Sain that this December I shall certainly go to his home. Jagadananda is there, and he will give me offerings of food. Inform them all that no one should come to Jagannath Puri this year. When Srikanta Sain returned to Bengal and delivered this message, the minds of all the devotees were very pleased. Advaita Acharya was just about to go to Jagannath Puri with the other devotees, but on hearing this message he waited. Shivananda Sain and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting... Shivananda Sain and Jagadananda also stayed back, awaiting the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When the month of Posha arrived, that's supposed to be December, it's called Posha Mash, the month of Posha, which is equivalent to December. Both Jagadananda and Shivanand collected all kinds of paraphernalia for the Lord's reception. Every day they would wait until evening for the Lord to come. As the month passed, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not come, Jagadananda and Shivananda became most unhappy. Suddenly Nrsingananda arrived, and Jagadananda and Shivananda arranged for him to sit near them. Seeing them both so unhappy, Nrsingananda inquired, "Why do I see that you are both despondent?" Then Shivananda Sain told him, "Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised that he would come. Why then has he not arrived?" Hearing this, Nrsingananda Brahmachari replied, "Please be satisfied. I assure you that I shall bring him here 3 days from now." Shivananda and Jagadananda knew of Nrsingananda Brahmachari's influence and love of Godhead. Therefore they now felt assured that he would certainly bring Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nrsingananda Brahmachari, was he the one who mentally constructed a road of flowers for Lord Chaitanya to walk on? I'm sure it was Nrsingananda Brahmachari. That's why it says they knew of his influence. He went in a samadhi and then he created this long road, flower road, for Mahaprabhu to come on. So, his real name was Pradyumna Brahmachari. The name Nrsingananda had been given to him by Lord Gaurasundar himself. After meditating for 2 days, Nrsingananda Brahmachari told Shivananda Sain, "I've already brought Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the village known as Panihati. Tomorrow at noon he will come to your home. Therefore please bring all kinds of cooking ingredients. I shall personally cook and offer him food." In this way I shall bring him here very soon. Be assured that I am telling you the truth. Do not be doubtful. Bring all the ingredients very soon, for I want to begin cooking immediately. Please do what I say. Nishingananda Brahmachari said to Shivanand, please bring whatever cooking ingredients I want. Thus Shivanand Saint immediately brought whatever he asked for. Beginning early in the morning, Nishingananda Brahmachari cooked many varieties of food, including vegetables, cakes, sweet rice and other preparations. After he finished cooking, he brought separate dishes for Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also separately offered dishes to Nrsimhadev, his worshipable deity. Thus he divided all the food into 3 offerings. Then, outside the temple, he began to meditate upon the Lord. In his meditation, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quickly come, sit down, and eat all 3 offerings, leaving behind no remnants. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing the Lord eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath. Therefore I have no objection to your eating his offering. But why are you touching the offering to Lord Nrsimhadev? I think that Nrsimhadev could not eat anything today, and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live? Although Nrsimha Brahmachari, or Pradyumna Brahmachari, felt jubilation within his heart to see the Lord eating everything, for the sake of Lord Nrsimhadev, he externally expressed disappointment. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Swayam Bhagavan Krishna Chaitanya Gosai Jagannath Nrsimha Saha Kichu Bheda Noi. Therefore there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsimhadev. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact. Therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. After eating all the offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghava. Shivananda said to Nrsimhananda, why are you expressing dismay? Nrsimhananda replied, just see the behaviour of your Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He alone has eaten the offerings for all 3 deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nrsimhadev remained fasting. When Shivananda Sain heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nrsimhananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. When Shivananda Sain was thus perplexed, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari said to him, bring more food, let me cook again for Lord Nrsimhadev. Then Shivananda Sain again brought the ingredients with which to cook, and Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nrsimhadev. The next year, Shivanand went to Jagannath Puri with all the other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's jumping a year ahead, right? Because that was the year that he told the devotees not to come to Puri, and he went. Well, it didn't say he went to Naradri, but he got as far as Panihati. And then he sort of... sometimes the sequence isn't, in chronological order. It's like he's jumping ahead a year, but the bits in between are mentioned elsewhere. Chaitanya Charitamrita or Chaitanya Bhagavat. So, one day in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nrsimhananda Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. So this is a year later, right? The Lord's remembering these incidents. So suddenly bringing it up, Gata Varsha Poshe Mori Khaila Bhojan Kabunahi kai ache mishtana vyanjan. The Lord said last year in the month of Posha, when the Shingananda gave me varieties of sweets and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I'd never before eaten such preparations. Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivananda became confident that the incident was true. So the Lord's confirming it, because Nishingananda Brahmachari was saying, yeah, in my meditation the Lord's come and eaten everything. Well, where's the proof, right? So here the Lord is himself saying, yes, and it must be true, because, I mean, nobody saw the Lord coming to do that, right? Except for Nishingananda Brahmachari. So, in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Sachimata every day, and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when Kirtan was performed. Similarly, he was always present when Nityananda Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghava Pandit. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, whenever or wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears, and his devotees see him. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Sen, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Thus I've described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord.
The last person in presence of whom Lord Chaitanya would appear was
Raghava Pandit.
Who was he?
He appeared in the house of Raghava Pandit. What do you know about Raghava Pandit? He's had famous. He was famous for his prasad, right? Sweets. He used to carry all these sweets in a bag, and when they were going on to Puri, and he'd be continually feeding devotees with these sweets. They're called the bags of Raghava Pandit. So, but no, the other, that was when the Lord came from the altar, was eating the actual offering. That was Raghunandan Thakur. Yeah, that's similar. Okay. At Jagannath Puri, in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagavan Acharya, who was certainly a gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationships with God. He was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Srup Damodar Goswami were very friendly. He sought the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Bhagavan Acharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetables at home and brought the Lord there alone to eat. Oh, so that was in Puri, right? And yes, so generally in Puri the Lord would only take the prasad of Jagannath from the temple, but here he would go to the house of Bhagavan Acharya and he would personally cook for him. That was like their arrangement.
Where was here?
Pardon?
Where was here?
In Puri.
In Puri.
Yeah.
But Raghav Pandit's house is...
This is Bhagavan Acharya's.
Bhagavan Acharya's house. Where was that? In Puri as well?
In Puri, yes.
Okay.
Bhagavan Acharya's father, whose name was Satananda Khan, was an expert statesman, whereas Bhagavan Acharya was not at all interested in the management of the state. Indeed, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Bhagavan Acharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares and had then returned to Bhagavan Acharya's home. So he says in the purport here, that he studied Vedanta philosophy at Benares means he would have studied the impersonalist version of Shankaracharya. It's called the Shariraka Bhasya.
Marsh, earlier when you said the ones that didn't get the mercy was the Mayavadis and the students, it's not really like our general students here, but like these very high philosophical, not philosophical, those sort of students, the ones in Navadip who just...
Well, yeah, but it also has a general meaning as well of students, yeah, because just from that point, that someone who's like puffed up with knowledge they can't accept the teachings very well.
Brahmacharya? I don't understand. Is it the equivalent of brahmacharya?
No, just students.
Yeah, students, like college students, university students, yeah.
Okay.
But it's not all. We preach in universities and you can make devotees there.
It was like the Oxford of the time, right? Navadvip.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So they were very much involved. They were using their intelligence to do every type of kind of mantra, yantra and tantra apart from Krishna consciousness. Arranging for the Guru Maharaj says, arranging for the marriage of cats. I always wondered what that meant. Did he literally mean marrying cats? I think that's what it means, yeah. But, because metaphorically we say people are like cats and dogs, right? But they would actually have a ritual to marrying cats. I mean, that's how crazy it has become. So that's why Advaitacharya is saying, Lord, please come, save these people, and give them your devotion and your mercy. Bhagavanacharya took his brother to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya, that's not Gopal Bhatta Goswami, it's Gopal Bhattacharya, was a Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. So you're like, here's my brother, Gopal Bhattacharya, all right. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagavanacharya, the Lord feigned pleasure in seeing him. Bhagavanacharya said to Srup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home, having concluded his study of Vedanta philosophy. Bhagavanacharya requested Srup Damodar to hear from Gopal the commentary upon Vedanta. Oh dear, that's not going to end well. Particularly Srup Damodar, is like very particular about, and he would like protect Mahaprabhu from any things, negative things or Mayavadi things or offensive things. So Srup Damodar Goswami, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows: Buddhi brashta oila tumar gopalera sange, Mayavada shunibare upajila range. You've lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, speaking to Bhagavanacharya, who's his friend, right? And therefore you're eager to hear the Mayavad philosophy. Then he quotes, there's a quote here, I'm sure it doesn't give the reference, but Vaishnavahana jeva shariraka bhashya shune, sevya sevak bhav chadi apanare ishvaramane. Quote, when a Vaishnav listens to the Shariraka Bhasya, the Mayavad commentary upon Vedanta Sutra, he gives up the Krishna conscious attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Instead, he considers himself the supreme Lord, unquote. So yeah, that's the thing, the reason why the Shankara's commentary is considered a misinterpretation of Vedanta Sutra, because it clearly says in Vedanta Sutra, as Vyasadeva himself had intended it, as they say, if you want to know the meaning of a book or a teaching, the best way you can do that is ask the person who wrote it, right? So we have to take Vyasadeva's own commentary on Vedanta Sutra which is Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So because they stress the oneness and ignore the difference. There's oneness and difference, right? That's the understanding. There's some aspect of oneness between the jiva soul and the Lord, and an aspect of difference, both simultaneously and inconceivably. But they're just exclusively stressing the oneness and ignoring the difference. What's that? So, and it's very dangerous. Mahaprabhu said, you shouldn't hear these Mayavad. But these are real Mayavad commentaries, not like the present day so-called neo-Advaitin teachers, they're spouting some thing, about the oneness of everything. But these are like hardcore Mayavadis. They're like, you wouldn't want to be in the same room with them, I experienced that myself one time in Bournemouth. I was at this, I might have told this before, but I was in that time of friends. It wasn't really close friend, but like an acquaintance. I met him through, in the health shop, actually Earth Foods. And a couple of times I went to his place and he was, Anyway, so one time he was in the kitchen doing something, making tea or something. And I was browsing through his bookcase, and I came across Shariraka Bhasya, Shankaracharya, and it was like an old, obviously quite an old original edition, all with the Sanskrit all on one side, other side translation. So without even thinking, I was just browsing through it, reading it like this, and going through it. And all of a sudden I felt this terrible pain in my heart, thinking about it afterwards, the analogy came to me like a mirror. It was like shattered. The mirror of the heart, Chaito Darpan Marjanam, right? It's supposed to clearly reflect God, Krishna, but that mirror was like shattered, and like my faith was like, I can't describe it. I ran out that house like my head was on fire. I ran all the way back to my flat. It was only just around the corner. And I got Chaitanya Charitamrita out of the cupboard and I found the bit with Mahaprabhu preaching to the Mayavad scholars, I said, please save me. And slowly came back together again. Like, so I thought, whoa, that's really true, what he said. So.
And you have the demons and you have the Mayavadis.
Yeah.
And I think the demons will get some mercy or something, but the Mayavadis are really stuck, aren't they? They're really
Yeah. It's considered worse than even a materialist, a Vishayi or extreme sense enjoyer. That's what we call a hedonist, their association would definitely be preferable to Mayavadi.
Someone's demoniac if they're drinking and smoking, but compared to the Mayavadi is really a demoniac.
Yeah, because the person who's drinking, smoking and being a hedonist, if they have some Sukriti somewhere in their past, in their lineage or their family, or somewhere they come across, when they come in connection with Krishna consciousness, if that can be activated, they can take a complete turn and go from being completely engaged in satisfying their senses to wanting to satisfy the senses of Krishna, right? Mm-hmm. It's like the other thing. It's the same activity of sense enjoyment, but the target is different. So they can take a turn opposite way. But the Mayavadi, who's like in this middle position, is sort of like disassociated from the material sense enjoyment, but is absolutely not have any interest or engagement in the service of the Lord and thinking himself to be the Lord and etc. So that's very, very hard for them to get out of that. Like someone who has a PhD university degree, it's very hard to tell them anything. They can't be educated because they think they've got the top degree of education and no one can tell them anything. So that's a big bar to Krishna consciousness. So...
Is it Krishna says it's like they're cutting his body or something, somewhere.
Yeah, he says, because they also chant mantras in Narayan, Krishna, but Krishna says, I don't hear those mantras, they're like arrows in my body. Yeah. Maybe it's that or something. Yeah, so here's the purport about this that we're saying. The Mayavad philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even a highly elevated devotee who has accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavad commentary on Vedanta Sutra. This is Swarup Damodar telling, these are his words, right? But in spite of his protest, Bhagavan Acharya continued, we are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and souls. Therefore the Shariraka Bhashya cannot change our minds. Swarupke tatapi mayavada shravane chitta brahma maya mitya matta shune. Swarup Damodar replied, nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavad philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that the universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. As I will say, that's their slogan, Brahmanityam Maya Nitya, that only Brahman is real and the Maya, the material world, the world of material variety is illusion. They're meaning it in the sense of it doesn't actually exist. Whereas we know that it's temporary, but it does exist. But if you say that something that's temporary has no eternal existence, in that sense is unreal. Yes, you can say that, but not that it doesn't exist at all while it's here, right? Is what they mean, So, and these arguments go back and forth, So, but one devotee was giving a lecture on this, and he said, their philosophy, Mayavad, it's like the slippery soap in the bathroom, you try and catch it and it just slips again. So that's why Mahaprabhu wasn't very enthusiastic to debate with them, because Vaishnavas don't like to enter into argumentation about points. Only if someone is curious or inquiring sincerely or innocently, then we can explain. But we don't want to enter into argumentative debate insistently to prove a point. If the person is already of that mindset and heart set, negative heart set, offensive, mindset. So
it's like preaching to the faithless.
Yes.
Maharaj, when you say it's real, this world is real but it's temporary. Temporary has to be understood in the meaning that the universe is meant to be destroyed, to be born again. The Jiva soul also at the same time as the universe, they will disappear before reappearing again. It's also because of the duality in this world, everything can whatever exists is meant to die, but also happiness is meant to disappear, to bring etc. But temporary in different meanings. In different ways,
The
key word is temporary, right? If they ask us, why do you say this is temporary? This is the word.
Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna does say of what is eternal in this world, in other words, the Jiva soul, there's no cessation, and of what is temporary, of matter, there's no endurance. So in that sense, unreal, yes. If something has a beginning and an end, it's not eternal, right? Therefore it's not real. Because only eternal means real, in the more ultimate sense. So in that sense, you can say unreal. But not in the Mayavad sense is different. I mean, it doesn't actually exist. It's an illusion in our mind. Like seeing a rope and thinking it's a snake, and it's dark at night and you see this thing on the ground, it's just a rope, it's completely harmless. But you think, it's a snake, and then all these emotions come, fear, you want to run away, call someone, do all these things. And it's all completely false, because it's just a rope. It's just inert. So that's what they're saying, you know. So,
And they're saying that they thought it,
huh?
that they created it in their minds.
Yeah, that gets very
Yeah.
complicated, right? Because you can't even say the Jiva soul is created in the mind, because there's no Jiva soul. There's only Brahman.
Wow.
So the Brahman, although the Brahman has no qualities and has no Shakti, somehow or other this Brahman has created an illusion for itself. But that doesn't make sense either, because in order to create something there has to be Shakti. But Brahman has no Shakti. It's Nirvishesh, Nirakar. So, you know, these are going on, these type of arguments. No Vishesh, no difference, no differences, no variety.
There's nothing emanating from it. I mean,
Yeah.
no energy,
Yeah,
not producing anything.
that's right, yeah. So we say
It's nothingness, basically.
it's nothingness, yeah. So we say the correct interpretation of Vedanta Sutra is that God, the Advaya Gyan, the one undivided spiritual substance, has created the material world, right? And that material world is Shakti. In that sense, is non-different from himself. You know, yeah. But the Mayavadis say, no, that can't be, because the Brahman, it can't be transformed. It's one thing. There can't be anything coming out of it or expanding from it. But that doesn't make sense either, because that's like saying then God has no potency. So what's the point of God, right? Yeah.
But only a devotee can see their arguments full of holes, whereas a regular person will say, oh wow, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately the atheistic conclusion, because Shankaracharya is Shiva, right? And Shiva is the potency of destruction, as Rudra anyway. So only Shiva could so-called propound this Mayavad philosophy to destroy the theistic intelligence of the soul.
Because they're insincere or something.
Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says to remove the less sincere to another ward of the hospital of the material world, to the highly contaminated ward. You have to put them there so they won't contaminate the less contaminated ones, you know. So that, division was necessary. But at the same time, by this Shankara's, interpretation of Vedanta, he was giving authority to the Vedas, which had been completely disqualified by the Buddhist teaching. As Buddha gave his own, teaching, which is a rational teaching based on experience, the Four Noble Truths, right? There's suffering, cause of suffering, the end of suffering, the way to the end of suffering. That's what you perceive. It's a rational teaching. It's not revealed. It's not knowledge coming down. So, and that had, just sort of like discounted the Vedas. Although he himself never directly said, the Vedas aren't true, don't believe them. Of course he can't say that, because he's an avatar of Narayan, Vishnu, Shaktivesh. But it came for a certain purpose. But the Vedas had been kind of gone, So at least Shankaracharya, he reintroduced the authority of the Vedas. So that was like a step towards Vaishnavism from Buddhism in that sense. But in another way, Mahaprabhu says that it's more dangerous than the Buddhist, because the Buddhist is clear. We don't follow the Vedas, we don't listen to them, we're doing this other thing. Whereas Shankara is saying, no, Vedas are true, but this is the interpretation, wrong. The half-truth is worse than a lie. If it's a lie, you can say, okay, you can believe it or not believe it. According to... But a half-truth is like, it sounds very philosophically maybe right or something. So it's very dangerous. So that's how it is here. The Mayavad philosopher, this is Swarup Damodar Goswami, tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee. Thus Bhagavan Acharya, greatly ashamed and fearful, remained silent. The next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. One day Bhagavan Acharya invited the Lord to dine at his home. Thus he was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. A devotee named Chota Haridas used to sing for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagavan Acharya called him to his home and spoke as follows. Please go to the sister of Sikhi Mahiti. In my name ask her for a manna of white rice and bring it here. Sikhi Mahiti's sister was named... No?
What's a manna?
Pardon?
What's a manna? A manna of like...
Oh yeah, it's just an amount. I don't know what amount. It says a standard of measurement in Orissa for rice and other grains.
Okay.
So her sister was named Madhavi Devi. She was an elderly lady who always performed austerities. She was very advanced in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted her as having formerly been an associate of Srimati Radharani. In the entire world, 3.5 people were his intimate devotees. The 3 were... Can you guess? What do you think?
Nityananda.
No. We're not saying Vishnu Tattva here. Oh. Among his associates.
Mahaprabhu's associates.
Yeah. Well, one would be Swarup Damodar Goswami, yes. Who's the favourite devotee of Mahaprabhu? Who had a talk with Mahaprabhu? Yeah, Ramananda Roy, yeah. And Sikhi Mahiti, and the half a person was Sikhi Mahiti's sister.
Oh yeah, the one who would lead Kirtan sometimes.
Madhavi Devi.
But then what's
is it?
included from them? Something like
Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Somewhere. Okay.
She was a good leader, but then they told her to
Stand back.
Not to.
A manna is 400 grams.
Oh, no.
Okay, so that's
About half kilo.
less, just under half a kilo, yeah. So that's...
So it's 3 persons, you said?
3.5.
Swarup Damodar?
Swarup Damodar, Ramanand Roy, and Sikhi Mahiti, and the half is her sister, Madhavi Devi.
For Chiki Mohiti?
Yeah.
Who was this person?
She was the one that Bhagavan Acharya asked Junior Haridas to go and beg rice from her so he could cook it for Mahaprabhu.
Wow, like it very seems quite distant, but not.
Yeah. We've got a few minutes. After begging the rice from her, Junior Haridas brought it to Bhagavan Acharya, who was very pleased to see its quality. In great affection, Bhagavan Acharya cooked varieties of vegetables and other preparations dear to the Lord. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord Jagannath and digestive aids such as ground ginger and also lime with salt. At noon, when the Lord came to eat the offerings of Bhagavan Acharya, he first appreciated the fine rice and therefore questioned him. Oh, this is the big thing. Uttama anna eta tundul khanate paila acharya ke madhavi pasha magiya onila. Where did you get such fine rice? The Lord asked. Bhagavan Acharya replied, I got it by begging from Madhavi Devi. Prabhu ke konjai magiya onila. Chota Haridas enam acharya kahila. When the Lord asked who had begged the rice and brought it back, Bhagavanacharya mentioned the name of Junior Haridas. Praising the quality of the rice, the Lord took the prasad. Then, after returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal servant. Aji haite mor ogapaliba chota haridasi yon ashite nadiba. From this day forward, do not allow Chota Haridas to come here. When Junior Haridas heard that he'd been ordered not to approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. No one could understand why he'd been ordered not to come. Haridas fasted continuously for 3 days. Then Swarup Damodar Goswami and other confidential devotees approached the Lord to inquire from him. What great offence has Junior Haridas committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door? He has now been fasting for 3 days. Prabhu kahe, Vairagi kare prakriti sambhashan, dekite naparan ammi tahara vadan. I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with a woman.
But who sent him to get the rice?
Yeah.
Bhagavanacharya.
No, I just
I think it was his fault,
no,
yes?
no. I just thought it was maybe. I couldn't remember if it was Mahaprabhu that sent him.
Yeah, I mean, this whole pastime has a deep meaning, so you can't just judge it on
No, I really
What
wasn't.
it-
Just checking who sent
what it
him.
looks
Just
like, yeah.
thinking.
So strongly, this is Mahaprabhu speaking, so strongly do the senses adhere to the objects of their enjoyment that indeed a wooden statue of a woman attracts the mind of even a great saintly person. And then he quotes from the Manu Samhita, of course, the great law book of mankind. Matta sasaduhitava na viviktasano bhavet balavanindriya gramo vidangshang api karshati. One should not sit closely with one's mother, sister or daughter, for the senses are so strong that they may attract even a person advanced in knowledge. And then Mahaprabhu again, Chudra jiva sabha markat varagya koriya, indriya charana bule prakriti sambhasya. Markat varagya, you know what that means? Monkey renunciation. Markat is a monkey. There are many persons with little in their possession who accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. So monkeys are very renounced, right? Apparently they don't have any specific house, they don't have any property, they don't have any possessions, they just move here and there. But these people accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. They go here and there, engaging in sense gratification and speaking intimately with women.
Yeah, because monkeys go around the place chatting with them and doing the thing. And
Yeah. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered his room. Seeing him in such an angry mood, all the devotees fell silent. The next day they all approached together the lotus feet of the Lord to submit an appeal on behalf of Junior Haridas. Orp aparad, Prabhu kahara prasad, ebe shikka hoile na koriba aparad. Haridas has committed a small offence, they said. Therefore, O Lord, please be merciful to him. Now he has received a sufficient lesson. In the future he will not commit such an offence. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Moravash nahi moraman, prakriti sambhasi varagi nakare darshan. My mind is not under my control. It does not like to see anyone in the renounced order who talks intimately with women. You should all tend to your respective engagements. Give up this useless talk. If you speak this way again, I shall go away and you'll no longer see me here. Hearing this, all the devotees covered their ears with their hands, got up and went about their respective duties. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also left that place to perform his noon duties. No one could understand his pastimes. The next day all the devotees went to Sri Paramananda Puri and requested him to pacify the Lord. Because he was like a very senior devotee, like in the position of like Mahaprabhu's father or uncle, so he thought maybe you listen to him, you know. Paramananda Puri thereupon went alone to the residence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord, after offering him obeisances, seated him by his side with great respect. The Lord inquired, "What is your order? For what purpose have you come here?" Paramananda Puri then submitted his prayer that the Lord show favour to Junior Haridas. Hearing this request, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "My dear Lord, please hear me. It is better for you to stay here with all the Vaishnavas. Please give me permission to go to Alananath. I shall remain there alone. Only Govinda will go with me." After saying this, the Lord called for Govinda. Offering obeisances to Paramananda Puri, he got up and began to leave. In great haste, Paramananda Puri Gosai went before him and with great humility persuaded him to sit down in his own room. He said, "My dear Lord Chaitanya, you are the independent personality of Godhead. You can do whatever you like. Who can say anything above you? All your activities are for the benefit of people in general. We cannot understand them, for your intentions are deep and grave." After saying this, Paramananda Puri Gosai left for his own home. Then all the devotees went to see Junior Haridas. Swarup Damodar Goswami said, "Please hear us, Haridas, for we all wish you well. Please believe this. At present, the Lord is persisting in his mood of anger because he is the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead. At some time, however, he will surely be merciful, for at heart he is very kind. The Lord is persisting, and if you also persist, his persistence will increase. It's better for you to bathe and take prasad. In due course, his anger will automatically subside." So they're saying, don't stop being in grief and lamenting and fasting. Just carry on your life as normal, and in time, Mahaprabhu will become, change his mind. Having said this, Swarup Damodar induced Haridas to bathe and take prasad. After thus reassuring him, he returned home. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Lord Jagannath in the temple, Haridas would stay a long distance away and see him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the ocean of mercy. Who can understand him? When he chastises his dear devotees, he certainly does so to re-establish the principles of religion or duty. Yeah, so it's almost like he had to completely be strong on that point, like overcompensating almost, to stress the fact. Otherwise, Prabhupada says here, otherwise so-called devotees of the Lord would have exploited the example of Junior Haridas to continue the habit of illicit connections with women unrestrictedly.
Is it also...
What?
Is it also a bit like... I'm not... Like when someone's like totally surrendered to the Lord, like he's the love of their heart, he's the love. Then when they go to see another, then he doesn't like that also in that way, like they're his.
When they go see who?
When they're something like...
Yeah.
Then
but because Mahaprabhu wanted was that his devotion would be exclusively to him.
Yeah.
And he was...
Exactly.
Well, that's an interesting
like
angle
you have
on it.
love and then they become intimate with someone else. That's weird. That's unnecessary.
Yeah. But from what we understand about this, he didn't even, he says, talked intimately with her, but he just received the rice from her hand, and maybe their hands touched, when she gave her something like that, inadvertently.
She was like a chaste woman.
Yeah, it wasn't a deliberate thing on his part or anything. But so Mahaprabhu made such a strong example.
Yeah.
And, of course, he was blessed to be singled out for such chastisement.
And even when he left his body, killed him, he was chanting and the Lord was happy with him.
That comes later. Yeah, he got the opportunity for savour of the Lord later on.
The Lord didn't stop his mercy or anything to him.
No. Yeah. And... But you see how it was effective, because the next verse says, after all the devotees saw this example, a mentality of fear grew among them. Therefore they all stopped talking with women, even in dreams. Okay, do we go to 8, do we? In this way a complete year passed for Junior Haridas, but still there was not a sign of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy toward him. So Lord, as he has said, if you continue persisting with this request, I'll leave. And he was going to leave. It's only because Paramananda Puri made him sit down, and not leave. They didn't leave. Thus at the end of one night, Junior Haridas, after offering obeisances to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, departed for Prayag without saying anything to anyone. He had conclusively decided to obtain shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus he entered deep into the water at Triveni, the confluence of the Ganges and Yamuna at Prayag, and in this way gave up his life. Immediately after committing suicide in this way, he went in his spiritual body to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and received the mercy of the Lord. However, he still remained invisible. In a spiritual body resembling that of a Gandharva, Junior Haridas, although invisible, would sing at night for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to hear. No one but the Lord, however, knew of this. There's a picture there. Here's Junior Haridas, his Gandharva form, singing for the Lord. Lord, in his deep separation, by hearing his singing, the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Kaviraj Goswami says, like a drunkard who's has to have wine, and only if you get wine, then you'll be somewhat pacified. So that was like wine, to the ears of the Lord, hearing the pastimes of Krishna, Radha and Krishna. And that would be the only thing that would somewhat reduce his temperature. His burning fire of anguish of separation would at least become in a almost say tolerable level for you to be. So that's a great service, right, which he was given to Chota Haridas.
Is it unusual though, because killing oneself is normally not?
Pardon?
It's unusual though, because normally, we're told to kill the body is actually offensive and not
yeah, suicide's not encouraged, of course, definitely. Because another time, isn't it, when Sanatana Goswami was going to commit suicide by throwing himself under the Rath Yatra, and without telling anyone, that was in his mind, because he felt completely useless and hopeless, unable to render any proper seva. So that was he thought, at least that way he can go to the Lord. And then, Lord Chaitanya knew, and he chastised him, said, he said, if it was possible just by leaving the body to attain Krishna, then I'd leave my body crores and crores of times. But it's not possible that way. And then he said, and also, why are you abusing another person's property? You've surrendered to me, your body's my property. So it's not yours to decide what to do with it or not, like that.
But this person's completely contradictory.
But this is completely different, yeah. So that was almost like a glorious thing that happened. But then it's funny because the Lord said later on, he was hearing the singing of Haridas, but then one day he said to the devotees, "Where is Haridas? Now you may bring him here." He's acting like now he's forgiven him and he can bring him. Devotees all replied, "One night at the end of a full year, Junior Haridas got up and went away. No one knows where he's gone." Does that? They knew what he'd done, right? But they didn't like to say.
Only Mahaprabhu knew.
Doesn't say. But while hearing the devotees lament, the Lord was mildly smiling. Thus, all the devotees were very astonished. One day, Jagadananda, Sarup, Govinda, Kashishva, Shankara, Damodara and Mukunda all went to bathe in the sea. They could hear Haridas singing from a distant place, as if calling them in his original voice. No one could see him, but they could hear him singing in a sweet voice. Therefore all the devotees headed by Govinda made this guess. Haridas must have committed suicide by drinking poison, and because of this sinful act, he has now become a Brahmin ghost. We cannot see his material form, they said, but still we hear his sweet singing. Therefore he must have become a ghost. Sarup Damodar, however, protested. This is a false guess. Junior Haridas chanted the Hare Krishna mantra throughout his entire life and served the Supreme Lord, Mahaprabhu. Moreover, he is dear to the Lord and has died in a holy place. He cannot have been degraded. He must have attained liberation. This is a pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will all understand it later. Then a devotee returned to Navadvip from Prayag and told everyone the details of Junior Haridas's suicide. There's that devotee of Vishnu Jan Swami. He's a devotee of Srila Prabhupada in the very early days, and he did this thing in the Greyhound bus, travelling Sankirtan party. He was very famous, called Vishnu Jan Swami. There are tapes of him, it's like a very beautiful singing voice and everything. And then one day he just disappeared and nobody knew. And they heard some report like this from Prayag. That's what I heard. Some man had seen him going into the Ganges, committing suicide.
And some people could hear him singing?
No, not that.
Why did he go and...
because he was Vishnu Chan Swami, but Prabhupada had been telling this story at one time, and he heard that, and he was thinking, because although he'd taken sannyas, for some reason, maybe it was to do with, I don't know, government things or something, but he wrote 1 or 2 letters to his wife, or ex-wife, It wasn't anything untoward like that, but he was so affected, by this, that they say he did that, yeah. And Prabhupada was very upset, he was crying, Oh, he didn't need to do that, So like that. So on that rather sad note, we can finish the Hare Krishna. Yeah. Who's going to chant the flight? Very good. You can. 34, isn't it? Or 43?
Hari Haraya Nama Krishnaya Nalaya Nama Hari Haraya Nama Krishnaya Madhavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Yadvaya Madhavaya Keshavaya
Hari Gopinath Madhanam Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Kandanhara Shiva Sandhi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Sanatana Bhatta Raghuna Sri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasa Raghuna Vichai Goshai Gauri Charana Vanda Hoite Vignana Avishta Purana Kochai Nadamui Tanudasa Tanshabad Padarini Mora Panchakrasa Tandaracharan Sevi Bhakta Sannivasa Janame Janame Mo Hey Abhilasa Echai Kochai Bhave Vache Koilamasa Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Gaurila Prakasha Anand Bolo Guru Vaishnava Bhakti Majayama Guru Vaishnava Padma Padma Koriyasa Hari Nam Sankirtan Kohe Naratamudasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nityakara Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Grantaraj Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai Sri Rupanu Guru Bharati ki Jai Twadya Bhakti Vrinda ki Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Gaura Premanandi Hari Bol Hare Krishna
To surrender to the chair.